I'm Kansas men's basketball coach Bill Self, and you're watching Big12Sports.com.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Big 12 Report presented by Dr. Pepper. I'm Wendell BARNHOUSE, Big12Sports.com correspondent, and my co-host this week is Sean Dory.
Wendell, we are in the midst of March Madness, and for the 10th time in the 16-year history of the Big 12 Conference, the league will have two representatives in the men's basketball Sweet 16. What can we expect from the Baylor Bears and Kansas Jayhawks?
Well, first of all, Sean, Baylor and Xavier, I think it's going to be a pretty tough matchup. Xavier is a number 10 seed. They're a little bit of a surprise to get this far, but Xavier is going to have to manage Baylor's height, and Baylor is going to have to manage stopping one of the best guards in the country. Xavier is one of three double-digit seeds in the Sweet 16 and has a talented and confident senior guard in Tu Holloway, who scored 46 points in the two NCAA victories. Kenny Freese is a 7-foot wide body who had 25 points and 12 rebounds in the second-round victory over Lehigh. Now for Baylor, A.J. Walton and Pierre Jackson are going to have to D it up on Holloway, and Baylor needs to use its overall height advantage and try to dominate the boards. I think the biggest thing the Bears need is for Perry Jones III to start playing. He totaled just 9 points in the first two games of the NCAA tournament. He needs to start starring on the big stage. And Brady Heslop, I see you.
That's good stuff. Now we move on to the Kansas Jayhawks. What can we expect from them, Wendell?
Well, again, Kansas, a little bit like Baylor, they're playing North Carolina State, a double-digit seed that's made it this far. And I think the Jayhawks are going to have to play one of their better games because they're facing a team that's got a lot of length and athleticism. Now, North Carolina State is playing with a lot of confidence because they've already defeated two higher-seeded teams. I think two players for Kansas that are going to hold the key to winning will be center Jeff Withey and guard Elijah Johnson. Withey is 7 foot tall, and he should be able to counter some of the Wolfpack's height. And Johnson made the big shots against Purdue, and he's averaging 18.5 points over the last 4 games. Now, top seed North Carolina takes on number 13 Ohio in the other semifinal on Friday, and a lot of folks are picking Kansas to reach the Final Four because North Carolina point guard Kendall Marshall broke his wrist in the second-round game. Nobody knows how much he'll play or how effective he'll be.
Now moving on to the women's tournament. The Big 12 has 3 member institutions in the Sweet 16. What are the chances the Big 12 could get 2 teams to the Elite 8 as it did in 2011?
Well, it's going to be maybe starting with Texas A&M. They're the number 3 seed, the defending national champions. They've got to face number 2 seed Maryland, and it's going to be in ACC country. This regional will be in Raleigh as far as the semifinals are concerned. The Terps will probably have lots of fans in the stands, and the Aggies got Tyra White back for the first 2 rounds, and she was limited to just 3 shots as A&M slipped past Arkansas in the second round, but A&M getting their top scorer back is crucial. Maryland, like the Aggies, had a close call in the second round but defeated Louisville 72-68. The Terps have won 9 games in a row and are led by ACC Player of the Year Alyssa Thomas. She's a 6'2" sophomore forward who averages 17 points and 8 rebounds a game. Now, regarding Baylor, they're no stranger to the Sweet 16, but the team that they're playing in the semifinals is. Georgia Tech is making its first Sweet 16 appearance ever. Georgia Tech's number 4 seed in the tournament is the best in school history, plus they set records for total victories for the season and victories in the ACC. The Yellow Jackets are pretty solid offensively. They're 34th in the nation in field goal percentage, and they average 71 points per game. Sasha Goodlett, a 6'5" junior center, averages 14 points and 8 rebounds per game. Now, it's hard to imagine that Georgia Tech is going to be ready for the kind of defensive pressure that Baylor is going to throw their way. And Kansas takes on number 2 seed Tennessee Saturday in Des Moines, and with the game being there and in sort of Big 12 country, you got to figure there's going to be a lot of fans coming out to root for the good guys. While Kansas junior point guard Angel Goodrich and senior forward Aisha Sutherland have been the key players and leaders for the Jayhawks, the team has gotten great production in the NCAAs from freshman point guard Natalie Knight and freshman forward Chelsea Gardner. The Jayhawks will try to pull their 3rd consecutive upset against a Tennessee team that's on a mission to get Pat Summitt back to another Final Four.
As Wendell just previewed, Baylor and Kansas both have their men's and women's teams in the Sweet 16. Pretty impressive feat. when you consider there are only 3 teams in the country that can make that claim.
And it's also just the second time in Big 12 history that 2 schools have gotten both their men's and women's teams to the Sweet 16. It happened back in 2002 when Oklahoma got its men's and women's teams all the way to the Final Four, and also that year Texas had its men's and women's teams reach the Sweet 16.
And we're going to keep talking about Baylor. As we've said many times on this show, Baylor is having a banner athletic year, and Wendell is going to talk more about them in his world-famous shout-outs.
Well, we're going to start out with one of the guys that's making sure that Baylor athletic program is rolling along. Baylor Athletic Director Ian McCaw is one of the 5 finalists for a national award. The Athletic Director of the Year is an award presented by Sports Business Journal and Sports Business Daily. And Baylor, as you know, has put together what is arguably the best athletic season in school history. The winner of this award will be announced May 23rd in New York during the 5th Annual Sports Business Awards. For my second shout out, we're going to talk about some national basketball awards. Thomas Robinson of Kansas and Brittany Griner of Baylor are each finalists for the NAISMITH Award as the best male and female basketball players of the year. Baylor coach Kim Mulkey is a finalist for the NAISMITH Women's Coach of the Year Award, while Bill Self of Kansas and Missouri's Frank Haith are 2 of the 4 finalists for the NAISMITH Men's Coach of the Year. The winners will be announced April 1st in New Orleans. And for my final shout out, I need a little help. Give me a K.
K.
Give me a U.
U.
What's that spell?
K-U.
Well, in this case, it spells heroes. And thanks for the support, guys. Before the Kansas women played in their first NCAA tournament game in 12 years over the weekend, the school's Spirit Squad was leaving their hotel for the game on Sunday. They heard a man crying for help. Turned out he was pinned under the car he was working on. The car had slipped off the jack. Now, 8 of the Kansas Yell leaders helped lift the Cadillac so that the man could free himself. Now, I think that's definitely worth a shout out.
And I'm definitely going to need to go practice my Yell leader skills. But that's it for this week's Big 12 Report presented by Dr. Pepper. For my man Wendell Barnhouse, I'm Sean Dory. You can stay up with all things Big 12 at big12sports.com or join the conversation on our Facebook or Twitter pages. Thanks for joining us and have a great week.